I guess from an offensive coordinator's perspective, I know there'll be some recruiting duties and some coaches will be in and out of town, but particularly given, I imagine, some of the frustrations of the last couple of weeks, what do you use the bye week for? What do you want to attack during a bye week?
I think first and foremost, self-scout. What are we doing well? What are we not doing well? Especially with the information about Cam, going back and really identifying like who are the guys that can create plays for us and create explosives. So self-scout, player identification with who's healthy, and what we're doing well more than anything else, and then obviously keeping a keen eye, on Penn State and having a couple extra days to prepare for them. And, we got a little bit of a head start on Wednesday of last week with the players, and then, basically had the ability to finalize kind of normal downs today, which is, a day ahead, which is good.
Coach, you kind of just mentioned it there with Cam, but as you guys are trying to make up for his production, who are you guys looking forward to kind of, replicate that production?
Yeah, I mean, for us moving forward, there's going to be a bunch of young guys that are going to have to step up and make plays. Malachi, Javon Swinton's going to have to step up. Hopefully we can kind of get DJ Matthews back at full speed. He played a little bit in the Rutgers game, but still kind of wasn't all the way. Hopefully the week off and that time will allow him, to get him back to where he was early in the season, from a health standpoint. And then we got to get great production out of the L, between Anderson and Donovan. Jalen Lucas, the guy's created some explosives for us. Josh Henderson's been good at times for us. Sean's been good at times. A.J. Barner, again, same thing. He's had, a multitude of injuries, and he's playing beat up himself. But, we've got enough people. We just got to make sure that we're putting them in a position to be their best.
So Tom said we're going to have to wait until Saturday to find out who the starting quarterback is going to be. I don't imagine you're going to tell us, but I guess without giving away, what can you tell us about your evaluation of that position at this point and what you guys kind of found when you took a look at it over the bye week?
Well, I think the biggest thing is there's been times that our position, the quarterback position has played good football, and we've had some ball control issues, and so we're going to have a good week of practice, evaluate who's doing the best job, and then make a decision from there.
Maybe following up on that, just obviously without getting to the final conclusion of it, just what are some of the things you have seen from maybe, Connor or Jack or Dexter, or whoever, just all those guys? What have you seen from them in practice? Some things they're doing well and some things that they could improve on?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, it's, there's certain things that Jack does really well, and that goes way back to fall camp, and that's why it was a really close, competition. There's things Connor does really well, and at times he's played really well this season, and other than, 3-4 plays, he's played pretty good football, and then Dexter is a young guy, continues to develop, and Dexter's got great physical tools, as a passer, as a runner, and so just, whatever we have to do to create, where we can have one more point than the other team at the end of the day, that's what we got to do.
Hey, Walt, over here. Kind of a two-part question. One with Jalen Lucas, the challenge of getting him the ball more. How do you approach that? And then I'm wondering, sometimes when you watch other games, do you see plays and go, oh, this would be cool to run for us? Do you kind of evaluate that as you're looking at other teams?
First thing is, every time Jalen steps out there, he's always a first, second take. And so we're doing everything we can to push him the ball, and the amount of reps that he can play. Obviously there's some things that he's still got to mature and continue to learn. Pass protection being a large part of that, and when that comes to a certain point. And then at the same time, 17, 18-year-old freshman, having to put him in some other spots, playing him at wide out some, trying to move him around a little bit, and that's a little bit of a learning process too, But every week he's been able to do a little bit more. Every week we've been able to get him a little bit more involved. The second part of the question is, as long as it's within system, and people that look like us, the OUs, the Tennessees, the Kent States, the people that play football the way that we do, as long as it's within system, you're always looking for something. You're always looking for a wrinkle. You're always looking for an edge, a different presentation to get to the same thing. And that's, I watched 2 good high school football games. Football is football, whether it be the NFL, whether it be college, whether it be high school. There's a lot of good football played all over the country, and there are a lot of really good coaches. So anything that can help us, we're more than willing to watch.
Hey, Coach, I know Alan has talked about, time of possession being kind of like an overrated stat. But with that said, like the defense has been on the field a lot. Have you talked to Alan about maybe, evening out the time of possession?
No, I mean, here's what I'll tell you, okay? And if you go 3 and out and you snap it with 1 on the shot clock every time, 40 and 40 is 120, it's still not very much time, and our biggest issue in the last football game was they had a long extended drive, and we went 3 and out. They had a 8-minute drive, and then we went 3 and out. And for us, it's making sure we can stay on the field. If you go 3 and out fast, you're out there for 45 seconds. If you go 3 and out slow, you're out there for a minute and a half to a minute 45. There's not a huge difference. I'm much more concerned about converting third downs and staying on the football field. That naturally alone. I mean, we've had 15-play, 7-minute drives, but we were able to stay on the field. The 3 and outs are what kills you, and that's where we've got to be better. I mean, when our defense has been on the field for that long, for whatever reason that may be, we got to convert. No matter what pace that we play, we got to convert. And so, because if you do convert, those numbers are different, and so to me, it's avoiding 3 and outs and getting the first down, which is, equally or even more important than what tempo you do it at.
Coach, curious from a play calling perspective, how do you, evaluate yourself in that regard? Are you someone that, when you kind of continue to improve and gain more knowledge just about play calling, do you watch film of the calls you played and say, oh, I wish I would have called something here, I like what I called here? How do you just kind of approach that side of it?
I mean, the ultimate truth of it is if you have 1 more point than them, you did a good job. If you didn't, you didn't. I mean, if you score 40, and I've been a part of those games where you lose 58 to 62, and you didn't do a good enough job. You didn't have 1 more than them. What I can tell you is, the first time I called plays in a game was 2013. And in every game that I've ever been a part of, there's always 2 or 3 you wish you would have had back. And in every game that you're a part of, there's 2 or 3 of them that probably weren't the best call, but they ended up working it out because the kids figured it out. And there's a lot of in between. I mean, for us, it's making sure that we're putting the players that we have that can make plays for us in position, and that's typically where, the being critical of yourself comes. Is making sure that the right guys are getting the right touches at the right times, at the opportune times to help us win football games. But every game that you've ever been a part of, I've been a part of games where we scored 70 and there's 2 or 3 you wish you had back. I've been a part of games where he scored 10 or 15 and it ain't, but if you don't have 1 more than them, you didn't do a good enough job. Absolutely. Thank you, guys.